going on by the fisherman community against the Adani port. Now the Congress has come out today. V.D. Satish came out and said that we are with the people of this people protesting. What's your stance, being the MP of Kerala?
You know, as I've explained to them, their representatives, and also with Mr. Satishan and now with the Chief Minister, I think that we have to balance the interests of development with the anxieties of the people, because development is for people. That's what it's all about. Now, the coastal communities have lived in that area for thousands of years, and for them, they see increasing coastal erosion, and either wrongly or rightly, they blame the development of the port for the fact that the erosion is progressing further and that they've started losing their homes every year, especially in the monsoon season when the waves are at their highest. They crash in and all the coastal fishermen's homes are being destroyed and washed into the sea. I have raised this issue for about 10 years in Parliament, regularly every year, trying to point out that if China took even 2 inches of our land, we would rightly object, say that our land is being taken by someone else, we have to stand up and fight for it. Whereas when the sea takes 64 square kilometers of my own constituency's land, I have no one willing to give money to solve the problem. I was in the coastal belt yesterday, where seeing some really terribly damaged homes and the depredation of the coastline. And one of the frustrations for the people of my constituency is that just across, literally across a wall, is Tamil Nadu, where in the next adjoining 42 kilometers, there is 118 crores worth of what they call pulimutta, which are sea walls or sea groins that are constructed out, which not only have protected the coast in Tamil Nadu, but have added to the erosion problem in Kerala. And when you go to the Kerala government, they say they don't have the money. When you go to the central government, they say it's the state government's responsibility. I think this has to stop. And I've said to the Chief Minister, if necessary, should ask for more funds from the central government. I'm willing to support that. There are also obligations to the coastal people to try and rehabilitate those who've lost their homes and so on. Whether the port is responsible, I think there's been enough studies to indicate we have serious issues of climate change and other factors as well. But they want an expert study. I think we should give them an expert study. That's important. But the more important thing is for those in authority, which means basically the state government and Chief Minister, to kindly listen to the needs of the people, understand their frustrations, offer them rehabilitation closer to the coast. Because right now you're looking at a situation where the land offered by the state government is far away from where their livelihood, which is the sea. So they want to come and be rehabilitated so that they can continue their lives as fisher people and as coastal people, and they don't want to be thrown away from their own communities. So I fully understand their anxieties and fears. At the same time, the port is a very major project for our area. 25 years of agitation and demands from the people resulted in this project. We were in many ways fortunate that Mr. Adani came and bid for a project that others were not willing to consider to be viable. And as a result, we have this development. It's gone too far now to stop the project. But what we need to do is ensure that development doesn't hurt the people affected in the area, but actually helps them.
So now in the capital, there's a clash between the centre and the Aam Aadmi government in Delhi regarding the Rohingyas. Now, the centre has denied that after Hardeep Puri's Union Minister tweeted that the Rohingyas the centre is planning to relocate the Rohingyas. And later on, the centre said that no, we have no such plan. And the AAP government is saying that they're citing a conspiracy behind this. What is Congress, as being the main opposition in the country, what's Congress's stand on?
Well, I can't speak for the Congress. I'm not an official spokesman. I can certainly speak for myself. I spent 11 years of my life working for refugees, for the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. And my friend Hardeep Puri was India's ambassador to Geneva and sat on the executive committee of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. So he understands that in keeping with India's long humanitarian traditions, we have a duty to uphold the principles of international law. You do not send refugees back to countries where they fear persecution. You recognize them, give them some assistance and help them to settle. The UN is doing its part. UNHCR is willing to help. I am frankly shocked by the attitude of the Home Ministry in overruling what I believe was the right statement made by Mr. Puri. I think that the position of the government is enabled by the fact that we don't have, unlike any other democracy, we don't have a refugee and asylum law. I have proposed such a law repeatedly in Parliament as a private member's bill. I have seen the previous Home Minister presented copies of the bill and urged that this be done, but it's very clear that our Home Ministry prefers to make ad hoc decisions, are often politically motivated when it comes to deciding who should be a refugee and who should not. In every democracy around the world, there are very clear standards and yardsticks. There is an international law understanding of what a refugee is. Somebody who fears persecution if returned to his or her home country because of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group or political opinion. Those are the factors that make you a refugee. The Rohingyas are definitely persecuted. Their villages are burned. They've been arrested, killed, tortured, maimed, all sorts of things. And they've even been denied the protection of the country they live in, namely Burma, by Burma saying they're actually foreigners. Now, in those circumstances, it becomes imperative that when a refugee is able to find asylum, even temporary asylum somewhere, that you examine their claims and give them decent, humane treatment. Saying you'll deport them back to the country where they're being persecuted is a violation not just of international law, but of India's proud humanitarian traditions for millennia. We have stood for literally a few thousand years proudly as a nation that gives a home to the persecuted. Swami Vivekananda, in his famous address in Chicago in 1893 at the World Parliament of Religions, said, "I'm proud to speak to you all on behalf of a nation which has offered a home to the persecuted and harassed of all nations and religions." We've had Muslims, Parsis, Christians, Jews, people of every background. We've had Tibetans in recent years, Sri Lankan Tamils, Bangladeshis in 71, East Bengalis as they were called, Nepalese during the Civil War. We have not sent any of them back to face certain harassment, torture or death. Why would we do that to the Rohingyas only because they're Muslim? I find this a completely unacceptable situation, and I really hope that the original common sense position of the government of India, which is to give these people at least temporary asylum in our country until they can safely go back to their own country, that position is upheld. I think Hardeep Singh Puri was right in the stand he took. I think that what the Home Ministry has said is enabled by the fact that there is no formal legal procedure to determine refugee status, and the sooner we have a law that brings us on par with the world's other democracies, that gives us a procedure to decide whether somebody is a genuine refugee or not, the sooner we do that, the better.